Okay. I have straight up 9 o'clock. As you know, guys, this is our weekly All-State call, and I'm probably going to mention this 3 times. This is the last time for at least a while that this is going to be at 9 a.m. Central, for multiple reasons. One being that getting from Salina to Frisco in the morning, 2 different times, I did not know if I was going to make the call. The traffic has gotten ridiculous, getting my son to school, I happened to be right behind an accident this morning and they had to clear the road and I'm trapped between 2 curbs. And then 2 weeks ago, there was a major backup on the tollway that was 90 minutes. And thankfully I had my navigation on that bypassed me around it, but it put me here about 5 minutes before 9 and it was pushing it. But the second reason is 9 a.m. Tuesdays is a great time to do a networking meeting as we get into open enrollment so that you can network. There's also usually chamber events going on at, first thing in the morning. We've also got the Pacific Coasters. I did that poll online and I had 10 responses and every one of them said 11 a.m. works good. It's also a great time when you're in open enrollment that you're working and you take that 30 minutes to eat lunch and listen to the call while you're eating. So the call time is going to be changing to 11 a.m. starting next week, which is right after Labor Day. I'm going to post it on the deal. It's going to be the same channel, same everything. It's just going to move 11 a.m. Central Time to be able to do that. As you know, this call is rotated among group and individual under 65, as well as the Medicare side of Allstate. We cover all of it on these calls. So even if you're not working group today, when we do these group calls, it's put in your in your storage tank, right? So it's something to think about. It's something to consider. You're not going to start this business and go, oh, I'm going to go get groups, because a lot of my groups are coming from my individual clients that are referring me to groups and know that I'm in the business and so on and so forth. So the more you get established, the more that you're going to fall into that group market. And you know what? You want to know what you're doing when you get there, because you don't want to walk away from it. For years, I walked away from group business because I don't know what the heck I was doing. So, that's the truth. If you don't know what you're doing, a lot of times you think, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. But we have an incredible team here with us. Richie's on here. For our 50 and over groups. And a lot of you aren't selling 50 and over because you don't know what to do. Well, just call Richie. If you have that opportunity, just get Richie on the phone, get him involved, let him talk to your client if you need to. Just go for it, because the Allstate team is absolutely incredible, from the group side, the Medicare side, the individual side. They're incredible support team, as well as information for you. We also have Will on the call, and I think Will's going to primarily be talking today for us, going over, actually, since we are technically, guys, we're basically almost in September. So we're getting into that open enrollment period where groups are shopping for insurance. So Will's got several things he's going to cover today. So I'm going to let Will go ahead and chime in and start talking to us a little bit about underwriting, as well as what it takes to be able to do 1099 employees on groups and so on and so forth.
All right, thanks, Val. Quick shout out first to Eric Jans. We're about to close our first fully insured case, and I believe that'll be the first one under North American Life Plans. So shout out to Eric. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about our underwriting process. But before we do, just a quick recap on level funding. Just on the highest level, just keeping it simple, we take the one fixed monthly premium, drop it into 3 buckets. One is the claims account. It's going to pay for members' claims. The second is for plan administration. Our TPA is Allied Benefits. They're going to set up that claims account in the company's general assets. They're going to make all the claim payments, handle any benefit servicing, so it's hands-free to the business. And the third one is the stop loss coverage. So this is what we're actually underwriting. So in the event that there's a higher frequency of claims or a high claimant, that's when the stop loss triggers. We take over 100% no cap. So that's kind of just the general breakdown, just one fixed monthly premium. We just set it aside into 3 buckets. So whenever I talk about our underwriting, I really just break it down into 2 components: medical and firm underwriting, which is basically just the business. So the first piece is our medical underwriting. So whenever I send a base quote, I'm going to send a link to our online medical applications. The best way to do that is really just get that link to anyone's cell phone. Takes 5 minutes, group text, whatever you have to do to get that link to anyone that's enrolling. I'm going to get real-time feed on my end, so I can just basically send you updates as far as who started, who's completed, who hasn't started. So it's pretty streamlined process. Once we get all those in, I send up everything up to underwriting for the firm offer. It's usually about a 2-day turnaround time, and the underwriter may ask for additional information. So, that's depending on what it is. I can sometimes help out with that, especially if it's our first group, and especially if it's something that's kind of sensitive in nature. But once we get all that in and we firm up the rate, then we're good. We have a firm offer, we send it out. If we're not in a position to sell, you're going to hear me ask you, where do I need to be to win the group? So you name me a price, I can kick it back to underwriting for rate relief. If we're still not there, I can send it up to actuarial for even more. So it's, it is a firm offer, but we're flexible with it. And then once we're done with that piece, and that's actually the hardest piece, is the medical, we commence with what we call firm underwriting. And it's basically we just underwrite the business. So that's whenever my sales assistant, Liliana, will take over. She'll send out the employer application. She'll list out, everything that we need to underwrite the business, the wage and tax, prior bill, voided business check, things like that. Once she gets all that in, we send out the contract via DocuSign. And once that's signed, that'll have the final quote, the BAA, the stop loss agreement. Once we have that signed, we kick it back to underwriting for final approval. It's about a 3-day turnaround time. The underwriter may ask for additional items. It's usually census related, like, is this employee still working there? Just little housekeeping items like that. But once we get the final approval and the go-ahead, we implement everything to Allied Benefits, and we basically issue the plans. So about 3 to 5 business days after that, that's whenever the welcome kit from Allied comes out. It'll have their temporary ID cards, your agent portal registration, and the employer portal registration as well. So that's pretty much it. So it's really just broken down into medical underwriting and firm underwriting. Keep in mind, there are instances where if the group's really small and we know it's healthy, we can work both of these in tandem. If it's, towards the end of the month and we're in a pinch for time. But always keep in mind that the medical piece normally takes a lot longer than the back end piece. So yeah, with that being said, that's pretty much it. I just try and keep it as simple as possible. Were there any questions on that?
Looks like some of the questions have been answered by Richie. Thank you, Richie, for watching that. Also one of the things that can help with the rate relief, Will, can you touch a little bit on, and I know we've covered this, but I think sometimes we hear things on calls and then we get so much information that we forget little pieces like carve outs and some of the things like the prescription drug things that now are helping to get groups written that maybe we couldn't before. And then also the thing that makes us unique, guys, this is one of your unique selling propositions. And as an agent with North American, we don't just do group. And so we do Medicare, we do under 65, and being able to carve out and go, hey, if it's going to be $800 to add this person's children to the plan, then what would it be if we just did the employee only? You can also do Medicare carve out. And guys, when you're doing an underwritten level funded plan, Medicare 65 and older is obviously going to affect your rate because you're going by the average rate of the group. And for instance, right? So your younger blue collar, like plumbing companies and electricians and these ones that have a ton of employees between 20 and 30, all of a sudden you get 3 Medicare people and it makes the rate higher. Well, guess what? We can do Medicare carve out so that we can help get those rates down. Another thing also, Will, if you want to talk about the 1099 employee option, but we can't do that through most carriers, but with Allstate we can. You want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah, we're flexible on so many things when it comes to our underwriting. You know, we can write 1099s. We can not write 1099s. We can set, full-time hours down to 20. We can, as far as carve outs, we generally use those if we're not meeting participation. So say if it's um, like a restaurant and there's high turnover with the waiting staff, but they want major medical for ownership and admin, so we would carve out that ownership and admin class, and only those in the carve out would be considered eligible employees. Everyone else would not be considered eligible. So we normally do carve outs in the instance of if we're not meeting participation. Keep in mind, we also do have flexible participation. So our standard is 50% of all eligible or 75% after valid waivers. That or is a big one. It differentiates us from some of our other level funded carriers. But say if we're not meeting that, we can submit it as low par. And that's actually 25% of all eligible or 50% after valid waivers. It's very rare that we're not meeting the low par participation. Keep in mind, though, if we do submit at low par, it's usually about 9 to 10% for premium as far as a premium hike. But other than that, yeah, we can write it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, when you're thinking outside the box. And I've gotten where, I mean, 10 years in the business, I think outside the box on a lot of things, especially in the individual market with the stacking and all the options we have. Um, that's one of the things Allstate brings to the table with they have so many options. If you have questions, if some of this isn't making sense to you, like some of you are going, what is he talking about? And that's fine. If you have a group opportunity, just get with Will or get with Richie if it's over 50 and let them walk you through what your options are, what your parameters are. Another thing that is, yes, someone said, yes, like what is low par? What does that mean, Will?
Just low
So,
participation. It's basically not our regular participation. Again, we rarely have to use it because again, we either have a carve out or they're meeting our regular participation is so flexible that we're normally meeting that. So those are just really rare instances that we submitted for low participation. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. It is kind of a niche, but it's just kind of bringing home the point that we can write just about everything.
yeah, for sure. And another thing, and this is something Richie and I actually talked about, and I don't think that I have brought it up on the call because we just haven't had the opportunity to. But there's some groups over 50 have some compliance parameters as far as if you're offering um, group coverage, you have to offer a certain type of coverage to everybody. But then there's those companies that just want to offer, full major medical for management. So one of the things that you have an option to do, because we have other contracts as well, and I'll let Richie chime in here if he wants to, but you can always do where the maybe the management, depending on the groups of the size of the groups, you can always do the management on a full major medical. But then we have our enrollment first MEC plans that make them compliant as a group over 50 for everybody else in the group. So there's different ways that we can structure things. The biggest thing, and this goes with individual, this goes with group, this goes with the voluntary benefits side, this goes with being dental. If you have a possible opportunity and you don't know where to go, get with an Allstate rep or ask me, message me. People are messaging me all day on Facebook, little questions, and that's fine. Who do I contact for this? Who do I contact for that? We have a new Medicare over 65 rep with Allstate. You can contact her, contact Lisa or Chaz for individual questions if I'm not available. You can contact Richie if it's a group over 50. And of course, Will is always willing to help and walk you through different scenarios for your group. So we have a team here with Allstate. We do this. It's not you doing this on your own. It's you doing this as a team. It's you going and figuring out exactly how can I go win this business? even if it's brand new and it's your first group. So I want to reiterate that, and I know I talk about that all the time on the call, but we really have a really unique relationship and team here with Allstate. So yeah, for sure. Richie's there answering chat questions. Will, do you have anything else you wanted to add on that?
I did want to mention a couple key points for voluntary benefits since Isabel couldn't make it. Just keep in mind for those products, we can go down to 3 lives. The plans are shelf rated, so it's really easy to quote. And all we really only need is the site estate and the SIC code, which is the standard industrial code, or basically the nature of the business. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on those 3 points and drive those home.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. You want to make sure that you're including, just like I push stacking in the under 65 market, and I'm constantly making posts about different stacks that I did in the under 65 market with ACA plans and so on and so forth. You want to do the same thing in your group, because at the end of the day, the group deductibles have gone up. Gone are the days of, I mean, majority. I'm not going to say it's completely gone, but for the most part, unless you have a really large group like that can afford a $500 deductible, your deductibles are still $3,500 with a max out of pocket of $7,000 or $5,000 or $9,100 or whatever. So adding the accident plan and adding cancers or critical illness plans, those type of things should apply to the group market as well. Especially when you get into your groups over 10, because you start getting some employer assistance with at least the accident plan. Majority of Americans cannot afford a deductible if something happens. So it's either they add a little bit here on the accident side with the voluntary benefits, or they end up having a payment plan when something does happen. And I say when something does happen because out of 10 years in the business, every time somebody tells me no to an accident plan, they call me back and say, oh, I should have gotten that, because a kid gets hurt in sports or whatever, and they realize that they should have had it. So don't forget the voluntary benefits. Make sure that it's there. Take ownership and go, wait, where's that? Where's the voluntary benefits? Because you're going to sell more. And I say this every week. You can start higher and always come down and trim. You can't start low and then go, oh, by the way. Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to start with including everything when you first go to present that opportunity to the client. When you first go and say, this is what we've got, this is the rate. And a lot of times, if you're quoting and comparing against Blue Cross Blue Shield or a United Healthcare or an Aetna, the rates are significantly lower with the level funded, 30 to 50%. You have room in the budget to be able to add some of those voluntary benefits. What's the average premium savings, Will, that you see over a Blue Cross fully insured on a small group?
20%, 15, 20%.
Yes, and that's a lot. If you have a group of 20 and they're paying, $4,000 a month, a 15%, 20% savings is $800. And they're paying it anyways, but that's.
And even if, so we actually have a statistic for total savings. So if you include the refund, which 64% of our groups are getting refund, so total savings front end and back end, it's actually 61% average savings going to a level funded plan, which is pretty striking statistic.
And yeah, so that's another thing that you can use as a unique selling proposition is, if people that are shopping for group insurance, not only can we do some of the individual options if we need to, but secondly, that claims account, the way that it looks on paper is you have the claims account that's already factored into the premium. So in a small group, if it's a $20,000 claims account, at the end of the year, once all the claims are processed, after the claims period settles, then 50% on small groups comes back to that group. So I'll get emails in the middle of the year that my group is getting $2,500 back or $4,500 back. And then sometimes they forget about that, but then that they can use that towards a month's premium or whatever they want to use it for, because it's a check. It's basically a refund check, like Will said. What group wouldn't want to have the opportunity to do that?
It's a no-brainer. Yeah, I mean, and like you said, they can use it however they wish. If they want to use it for a vacation, they can use it for a vacation. If they want to use it for, the next policy's premium, they can do that. So it's their prepaid asset. It's their money. That's how we treat it.
Yeah. And it's more on the larger group side, Richie. That claims account is, how much do they get back of what they haven't used?
On the large group side, groups are getting 100% refund, and that's still regardless if they renew with us or not.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's huge, guys.
I'm not sure if
That could
Will
be a
got
lot
to
of money.
bring up this statistic, but 2/3 of our groups get a refund, and that refund is usually in the form of a month and a half to 2 months of premium. So we're pricing groups very well, and we're allocating money to the claims fund as it should be.
Yeah. And that goes back to the employer, correct? It's made out to the employer, and then the employer can use it at their discretion. That was a question that just popped up on the chat.
That is correct. That is money that is going back to the employer that the employer can use to grow their business that they otherwise would not be getting from a fully insured plan or another level funded carrier plan unless they renew with them. And fully insured, it's out of the question. There's no refunds.
Yeah.
And that's a good point to bring up. We're actually one of, if not the only carrier that will, give you that refund, whether they renew or not. But keep in mind, our renewals are at 75% in the small group space. So, we are a carrier at the end of the day. We don't make money unless, we renew our groups. So, but, with that being said, again, we treat it like a prepaid asset. It's the employer's money. They're going to get that whether they renew or not. So that's definitely a good differentiator to bring up.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so many opportunities with Allstate, guys, between the group market, and again, get with Will or get with Richie or get with Isabel if you have questions on any of the, if you have a hot opportunity. Nothing is wrong, and clients appreciate it. And I've had to say this so many times, I don't know, but I'll find out. If I don't know the answer to a question, they respect me doing that rather than pulling something out of wherever and saying, oh, well, this is how it is, and then being wrong. It's easier to say, I don't know, but let me find out, and smile and do it with a smile and come back around. They appreciate that more than you telling them something that's not true and then coming back and saying, oh, well, no, I was wrong. I misspoke. Sometimes that's going to happen because something changes or whatever. But at the end of the day, I've gotten groups because I said, I don't know, but I'll find out. Or even, on Medicare, I have to use that a lot. I've done Medicare for 10 years, but I'll tell you what, there are things I'm like, I have never had this situation, so I had to do it the other day with somebody. I'm like, okay, this is a different situation. So we ask, right? And people appreciate that. And they also appreciate that we have a team that we can find out those answers from that maybe are, have had that situation before. And nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with being humble and saying, I don't know, I'll find out, and they appreciate that. So if you have questions, ask. I did want to cover as well, I don't want to let it go. If you want to get, we have the Walmart Allstate opportunity with 2 ACA contracts. It's a huge opportunity for those of you getting started in your business or wanting to get out and meet people. I'll tell you, the number one way that I have built my business to be a referral only business is by meeting people, shaking hands and kissing babies, going out and getting among the people, going out and doing community events, going out and doing networking meetings, which is what I would suggest y'all be doing, getting into open enrollment. Here's another thing too, don't sell yourself short. Don't just go get one carrier contract or whatever. If you're going to sell group, then make sure you've got enough eggs in your basket for the group market. Now Allstate also has the fully insured, which is awesome. So if someone doesn't qualify for the underwritten plans that we've been focused on this call, they do have the fully insured. You heard Will recognize Eric Jans for having that first fully insured group with Allstate. So now we have a fallback. If we can't do the level funded, we can do that. But you can, no matter what it is, if you get an opportunity and you've got a prospect and you're looking at, your intake form, which we talked about last week, you're looking at your intake form. The first thing I'm thinking of, what's going to be the best bucket for this person? And because of the income going up on the ACA market, I know we had Chris on the call today. Because of that income, I mean, I'll have 60-year-olds that make 130,000 still qualify for a subsidy in a household. Don't sell yourself short by not getting into the ACA market, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that infuriates me more when I talk to somebody that's a new client, that some agent sold them something that's $2,000 a month, and I find out they qualify for a $1,000 subsidy. It pisses me off, because agents shouldn't do that. You should absolutely be able to let them know you qualify for this. That's just, that it's just being a good agent. It's being an advisor. And I've had that happen. I've absolutely had that. And Chris says, yep, ACA is here to stay. I have had that happen where a pastor of a church is paying $2,200 a month. And it's even a Blue Cross Blue Shield policy. So it's an ACA policy. And I go, wait a second. You qualify for a subsidy. And their premium ends up being $300 after I go do it, because the agent didn't want to mess with going through the marketplace. That client is not going to stay with an agent that does that. Period. They're not. So don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short in the individual market. Don't sell yourself short in the group market. Get out there and take the opportunity, have some grit, and go out and learn your business. Become an expert in your business and become an advisor that clients. One of the things that I hear from my clients all the time is, I knew if I asked you, you'd tell me the truth. Yep, you're going to get the truth. I'm transparent. If you don't qualify for something, you don't qualify for it, period. That's just the way it is. This is your options based on what you qualify for. I have no problem saying that. If you have a pacemaker, I'm not putting you on short-term medical, period. If you insist on being on a underwritten plan and lying about it, go find another agent. I'm not writing it, period. You're going on ACA if you have a pacemaker. That's just the way it is. So, and I've actually had that situation. I had a guy argue with me. He ended up blocked. I have no problem blocking him and being a jerk. So don't sell yourself short. Look at what is, it's same thing in the group market. Look at what is this group going to qualify for. If you've got a group of 10 and there's 3 people that are really sick, or someone's got cancer, then you're going to be looking more at the fully insured product. It's just the way it is. But if you don't know, then ask. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I think there's still some people asking some questions here. Richie's answering those. So Richie, Will, do y'all have anything else to add?
Lean on us, please. Lean on us. If you're afraid to go after the mid-market stuff, I will be there with you every step of the way. I'm also there while the group is in force with us to help with servicing. I'm also going to be there at renewals, so you can expect to have a very close relationship with me in the mid-market space. I'll help you present to groups. I'll help you answer their questions. I'll be a part of conference calls. When it comes down to enrolling the group in our health plans, I will fly out there personally and help you make it happen. So please do not hesitate to lean on me. And Will, I know Will is capable of all the same stuff too. Yep.
Yeah. So the Walmart opportunity is for the under 65 market. If you can commit to 20 hours a week at a Walmart store, and you're contracted with Allstate individual, which most of you on here should be. You should have been contracted with both at the same time, group and individual. Then you can get with me or get with Chris George, and we can see if a Walmart near you is available for you to basically have the opportunity to meet people, shake hands, meet people that are looking for health insurance. It's a great opportunity to get out there, meet people, and sell insurance. And when people get into open enrollment, they're going to do what's easy. If they're walking through Walmart and you're sitting there selling health insurance, they're going to come and talk to you. But you should also go out and talk to them. Hey, I'm so-and-so, here's my card. You're meeting people. And so if you're trying to get your business started, it's a great opportunity. You do have to have 2 ACA carrier contracts with North American as well as the Allstate individual in order to be able to participate in that. But that is something that can absolutely change the dynamic of your business. So All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this call. I did remember to record the call. So if you missed part of it or you want to go back and listen to it, I know there was some, higher level stuff with the group stuff. I will get this. I'm going to have them upload it to YouTube today. And it will be saved under Allstate Group. I'll probably save it under Allstate Group, underwriting and pre-qualifying, something of the sort. So we'll get that uploaded. If you haven't joined the Allstate North American Facebook page, I'm going to put that in the chat box so that you can do that. I post stuff. And don't forget, next week, the call time is 11 a.m. Central. It is not going to be at 9 anymore with back to school. Just can't make it happen. So we're going to move the call to 11 a.m. Encourage you to find a networking opportunity for that 9 a.m. time slot if that's you. So join the Facebook group page because I'm always posting stuff on there. And I will talk to y'all next week at 11.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Val.